Yo, people, welcome back to the YouTube channel. You already know what time it is. It's time for another stream. Big up your damn selves in the building. You already know where it is. Listen. There's actually a lot of little bits of news going through, filtering through today that we need to get onto, but nothing serious, concrete as of yet. So, like I said, we'll touch upon a few things, but nothing done, nothing agreed, nothing actually finalized. But apparently, Fabrizio is actually saying, and some people have already been saying it in the chat. Big up everybody in the chat. Some people have been saying already, Fabrizio basically, Caicedo is getting closer. Okay, Caicedo is getting closer. That's the report from his YouTube video. Caicedo wants to go to Chelsea. Personal terms was already agreed, and the agreement between Chelsea and Brighton is getting closer. Now, it's not so long ago. I think it was yesterday. We were starting to see that, there is literally nobody else in this Caicedo race, because when Liverpool are starting to bring in a bit of money, Fabinho, we look at Henderson, we're starting to think, oh, maybe Liverpool will get back in the race. But it seems like, Arsenal as well, who had him as an option after Rice, Liverpool, all these clubs are just walking away from the deal, because it's apparently Chelsea's deal to lose. It's Chelsea's deal to lose. The player is basically, blue, as has been quoted by some journalists, and there's no point even getting involved because we've done so much of the groundwork. So there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes, according to Fabrizio. He's been reporting this for like the last month, saying pivotal week, important bid, things are happening, so I'm looking for a conclusion. I wanted a conclusion before we flew to America. I don't think we're going to get it. Obviously we fly out tomorrow. That is a pivotal day for me, in terms of that's the group going to preseason, to go and work alongside now, obviously, Pochettino and get ready for the season. We've got a friendly against Wrexham on Wednesday, another friendly against Brighton on Saturday. So that would have been a pivotal day for Caicedo to be involved for me and actually go to America, because I would have loved that. I think it's great to, you have to get your signings done early. One of the problems for Chelsea over the last couple of years has been, the recruitment, but also we don't tend to get a lot of deals done early. In terms of big transfers, we do tend to leave them quite late. You can go all the way back to the Kepa deal being done quite late, because we missed out on Alisson and Courtois going to Real Madrid. That saga, you could look at, plenty of deals, and they tend to get done quite late. So the quicker Caicedo comes through the door, the better, because, if we're going to start, setting up our build-up play and how we're going to play out from the back and the different phases, and Pochettino is really going to get to work here, off the ball, shape, etc. You want players like Caicedo already involved. So goalkeeper, I think, out of all the positions, actually, you could probably say that you can leave it to the last. You can leave it to the last kick of the ball, because you could say, okay, I'm going to leave the goalkeeper to the end, because they do their own separate individual training, and they're not, unless you're making a massive jump up and a massive leap up in terms of, playing out from the back, like a De Gea to Onana. And obviously now you see that Man United are gonna play a completely different style outside their box. But apart from that, most of the time you want these players in early doors. Iceman seems to be going back on what he said. I don't know what's happened. I don't know what's okay. So we're gonna get straight into this. It appears that one of the absolute, true blue Lukaku followers, Romelu lovers, has decided to relinquish any sort of association today. He says he wants to walk away from Lukaku. Is that right, Iceman? Is this a final apology from you to me, or are you going to change your mind next week and start flying the flag again? Are we done here? Is this battle between us over? Now in the chat, you're finally telling me what I've been telling you for God knows how long. Listen, let's get straight into this Lukaku saga. The latest from Matt Law is that he will be arriving in Cobham on Tuesday. The last video I did, we were speaking about the breaking news. It happened quite late on Friday night, I believe it was. And it was all about, Inter Milan and Juventus bidding war for Lukaku. Both of them put together packages. And listen, it was all up in the air. He wasn't picking up the phone to Inzaghi. He wasn't picking up the phone to his teammates. And Inter Milan were starting to get quite, pissed off with the situation. Now, a couple of days later, Inter Milan have completely walked away from the deal. Inter Milan have completely walked away. And it's now Juventus or bust, because he's not going to go to Saudi. And the only way he's going to go to Juventus is if Vlahovic moves to PSG, which really looks like the only place he's going to potentially be going, unless Manchester United move away from Hairline and actually go for a cheaper alternative in Vlahovic. But at this current moment, we are waiting for PSG. We are pleading with PSG to move on Vlahovic so then Lukaku can go to Juventus. And this needs to be done by August 4th. And I would like it done much sooner than August 4th. By the time those players come back from the US tour, he has to be gone. Okay, he's arriving on the Tuesday. Pochettino has sided with the board. They've decided that, listen, we're not going to have a meeting in my office. We're not going to try and integrate you. And no, that ship has sailed. Everybody's of the understanding that we need to get money for this guy as soon as possible. And we need to take our 40 million euros and run. Juventus have put the offer on the table, but we're waiting for Vlahovic. So it's nice to see that you've actually come to the right side now. It's good to see. No. Iceman, don't. You see, Iceman, right now, what you're doing is you're drifting, right? You're swaying in the wind. I need you to focus. Stick to one clear path, right? Don't sway. Don't get confused. You're getting lightheaded. Every time you're focused, then you're on the right track. And we as the community in this chat, we're here to guide you. We're here to accept your apologies. We're here to understand where you've been coming from, but also guide you into the light. What we need in this therapy session now is not for you to be going back and forth with us and changing your mind and losing sight and losing track. Focus, just focus, because you was going in the right direction. You were understanding. Finally, at last, you were starting to understand. Now you're moving a little bit mad again. So just settle yourself down, right? Settle yourself down. There are numerous quotes of him wanting to go to let Iceman melt, they're saying in the chat. Numerous quotes of him wanting to go to Inter Milan for all of this time. And this is why on Twitter, I wanted to, kind of rubbish the terms and the rumors of, oh, Lukaku, and we're going to take it all the way back. All the way back to even when he was meant to join us the time under Conte. But I had to rubbish the points of Lukaku, the reason why he had this outburst in the first place. And it's quite interesting how this all comes back around to Sky Italia. Same journalists and the same, mainstream media that are reporting what's going on currently. The reason for his outburst is because, he wasn't getting the love that he needed from Tuchel. Tuchel was cracking jokes about Conte, saying that's your daddy, not playing him in the system that he wanted, not playing to his strengths. That was the reason and the justification for his first outburst. There is no justification now for his second outburst. There is no justification for negotiating, whether it's him or his lawyer, negotiating with Juventus before a Champions League final with your one true love, Inter Milan. And make no mistake, this is karma for Inter Milan, because now you understand when the shoe's on the other foot. It was funny probably when you banked 100 million and then he wanted to come back to you on loan for 7 million and you made a massive profit, which you probably used to pay off some of your debts because you still can't find the money to pay us. It was all banter then, all fun and jokes. But now Inter Milan got entered. Inter Milan got intercepted. And I for one, think it's fantastic. As long as he still goes, this is perfect. This is brilliant. Because now everybody's going to catch smoke. Everybody is going to catch smoke. Everybody now is going to have to hold that. They're going to have to firm it. Inter Milan are going to have to firm that. Lukaku, hopefully, when he goes to Juventus, I don't see that as an upwards move. But listen, we'll see what happens with him. The key here is that what goes around comes around, and Inter Milan got intercepted, and that is the story. Sky Italia reported this way back when, and like I said, it was never anything to do with system, because as I said yesterday on Never a Foul, and Iceman was there. I can understand the context of somebody over exceeding their XG. We're not playing to his strengths because we're not a counter-attacking team. Tuchel and Jorginho are playing a more methodical, possession-based, risk avert, because of course the lack of maybe athleticism in the center of the pitch. I can understand all of these pieces of context as to why Lukaku was exceeding his XG at the start of his Chelsea career in the opening months, and we weren't playing to his strengths. We weren't getting the ball forward quickly. The same applied to maybe a Timo Werner if he could keep himself on side. The hand was going up, right? and we couldn't get the ball played through. We didn't have an Enzo Fernandez with the incredible passing range and vision. I can understand the frustration, but you are a grown man in your late 20s, near early 30s, right? You have got to show maturity, patience, and you've got to show, you know, that you're not reactionary, and that you're going to give it time. Give it time for us to evolve and for us to slowly, you know, change our ways and go towards your way of playing. You have to give us time. It's not just going to click when we've been playing with Kai Havertz and Werner as false nines the season before when we won the Champions League. But like I said, it wasn't, you know, the fact that people tried to say that this was purely because of Tuchel's man management or pure, no, he got injured. That's when the interview took place. Then after the injury, he wanted to start playing immediately again. He wasn't played immediately, and then he started kicking off because he didn't have any patience. And now you're seeing the way he's turned on his one true love, Inter Milan. Inter Milan have done nothing really wrong to Lukaku. This is actually Inter Milan going out of their way to save Lukaku before Juventus got involved, because nobody outside of Saudi is interested in Lukaku. No matter what Benzema, you know, regen he thinks he is, Lewandowski regen thinks he is, Harry Kane regen thinks he is, whatever striker he thinks he is, Luis Suarez, whatever category of player he believes he should be in the prime of his career, at his lowest market value, at a club that do not want to keep him and have put him on the list for sales, nobody has come in apart from Inter Milan, who could easily go elsewhere and will go elsewhere, and apparently are now linked with Balogun, Juventus, and because they're looking for a good deal, and also Saudi, and that's it. None of the massive clubs around Europe are coming in for him. There's no other Premier League clubs coming in for him. Man United need a striker. Why are they not in for him? Not interested. You know, you look at Real Madrid. Real Madrid actually could do with a striker. They're not interested. So all of these clubs, PSG need a striker. They're not interested. So his stocks have fallen. All of these clubs need strikers. None of them are interested. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Now, for me personally, like I said, there's a way about doing things. There's a way about doing things. Let me go through some of this chat. There's a way about doing things. He's doing it in the wrong way, but he's going to return on Tuesday. And thankfully, the main thing out of this is that he's not going to be mixing with the first team squad. I cannot tell you how important that is. The ego is through the roof. You know, this is not what I call or see as a team player, because it has to be going his way. And we've seen what team players look like. You look at the professionalism of Azpilicueta. You look at the professionalism of Olivier Giroud. You know, take a look at these players that we've had. No matter if they're starting, if they're on the bench, if they're being used in a certain way that doesn't suit them. Azpilicueta was doing shifts as a wing back at 30 odd plus years of age. That doesn't suit him. You know, that doesn't play to his strengths, but he did the job for the team anyway. You need to have professionalism to build longevity. And it's no surprise that the managers like Klopp, when they see that players don't have that professionalism, don't have that team camaraderie, they get rid. And it's all about changing the environment. You know, people talk about they want a long-term manager. People talk about, you know, they want stability, but then they crave these players that are unstable. They crave these players that are drama. They're attracted to drama. They're obsessed with carnage. That is what this player is. You can't build around this player long-term because he changes his mind too often in terms of what he wants to do from one week to the next. So for me personally, it's brilliant that this guy's finally going to come off our books, but let this be a lesson. Do you know, let this actually be a lesson. When you're signing a player now, it's not just about the ability. It's not just about the statistics. It's about the personality traits that you're bringing in as well. Are you bringing in a main character? And is that main character even going to give you main character performances? You know, if you're getting this from an Mbappe, at least Mbappe is delivering top level performances, world-class performances. You know, at least he's hitting the heights of the World Cup hat-trick, going up against Messi, you know, playing tennis with Messi on the World Cup final stage. At least he's giving you that. If you're going to have this kind of ego, you've got to deliver. You have to deliver. It's not one or the other. If you've got this type of ego, you absolutely have to take one of those chances in the Champions League final. You absolutely have to take one of those chances for your country in the World Cup. If you don't, you absolutely have to keep yourself fit and don't get to a point where you're overweight for the majority of the season for Inter Milan and you've been benched by 37-year-old Edin Dzeko. You can't have these factors around you plus the ego. It doesn't work. It does not work. If you're going to have this level of ego and this level of main character syndrome, you have to be one of the best on the planet to do it. You have to be. If you don't, then it's not worth the struggle. It's not worth all of the animosity. It's not necessary. So like I said, latest is he'll be arriving on the Tuesday. The team fly out on the Monday. The reason why he's coming back to Cobham is because obviously he needs to keep himself fit and he needs to train because his move to Inter Milan has completely fallen through. That is now dead in the water. Now, there was a lot of like back and forth about whether or not who picked up the phone, who rang who, who didn't, Inzaghi, teammates, all of this palaver. But at the end of the day now, that move is completely dead. So it really is now Juventus or bust, unless somebody else is going to come in. Now, for me personally, like I said, I would have rather just get rid of him for free, man. But I respect the club for negotiating this one, and the 40 million euros is an incredible fee to take out of this if they actually get it. But right now, our sale is dependent on Vlahovic. One thing I have to say, there can be under no circumstances any sort of 360, 180 Chelsea on this topic. Okay, Pochettino and the board at this current moment agree. They currently agree that this is a player that they need to get rid of as soon as possible. There can be no situation, I mean 0% chance, not 99%, if 1% chance, 0% chance that he does any sort of 180. I don't care if we can't sell him, okay? I'm preparing you for the worst case scenario. If Vlahovic does not move to PSG and Vlahovic stays at Juventus and we are stuck with Lukaku, he has to be in the reserves next season. In the reserves. I'm being deadly serious. I'm not even going to say this with any other player that we currently have on the books. If it's Hudson-Odoi, if it's Hakim Ziyech, if it's Aubameyang, any of these other players, as much as I would like them all to be sold, to be given the opportunity to play regularly and rejuvenate their careers and move on because they're not part of the plan. If we cannot sell those players, then fair enough, you may have to bring them into the first team, at least let them train on the peripherals of the squad, and they might get a few minutes in cup games here or there, but you allow them to be in the first team environment. When it comes down to Lukaku, that brother has to be in the reserves. He cannot be training with the first team, because when you have a player like this who is driven by their own ego, right? And he's a confidence-based player. So if he's confident, Lukaku, he can cause damage. He can cause carnage on the football pitch. If he's not confident, he can give you the craziest compilation of misses you've ever seen in your life, right? But his own game is not, it's coming from within his own confidence levels and his ego, right? And whether or not people are playing to his strengths, etc. Now, you've seen it before. If a player isn't getting what they want and they're in, the first team squad, they're going to start having little conversations because they're trying to create allies. They're trying to create, some sort of group that maybe agrees with them. The worst thing that can happen for anybody in any sort of workplace is when you are not doing your job correctly, you're not playing well, or you're not doing your job to the best of your abilities, and everybody else is happy. Everybody else is happy. Everybody else loves the manager. Everybody else is doing their job. Everybody's enjoying themselves. And we're top of the league. I have to remind you, before the interview, we were top of the league, right? We were technically in a title race under Tuchel. It's exactly the same as Frank as well. After the transfer ban, we started that season very strongly as well. After the Champions League win, the start of the season, we were top of the league. If you remember the Liverpool game that we came back to draw 2-2, that was the game that kind of closed the door on the title race. It was between us, Man City, Liverpool. All three of us were quite close on points, and we needed to win that to really keep ourselves in it. We were top of the league, right? So everybody else is enjoying themselves. Everybody else is working for the manager because they've already got that loyalty from the Champions League win. That manager has just created, and let's be honest, that team as a bunch of individuals is nowhere near the Drogbas, the Lampards, the Ivanovic. You know, the defense was brilliant, but we're not putting Timo Werner and Kai Havertz in the same conversation as Didier Drogba and Juan Mata, even though they have the same accomplishment. One was a team of individuals with an incredible world-class level of quality, with a very average manager in Di Matteo that sorted themselves out, yeah, and literally put their lives on the line to get through those rounds and got a bit lucky along the way, but they deserved it. And the other one actually outplayed everyone every single round, exceeded every team on XG, right? Whether it was Real Madrid, you know, whether it was, you know, Atletico, but it was the system. It was the system, right? Because in the league, you could see that team couldn't even challenge for the league. They were always finishing top four, constantly fighting for their lives for top four, getting slapped up to Aston Villa on the last day, etc. So that team was not world-class, especially not in all areas. A couple world-class players, but not world-class team. But that team now, they have the loyalty to the manager because he's put them on the map. He's put them on the map. He's given them a Champions League trophy. But like I said, if an ego comes in, he doesn't have that loyalty because he wasn't part of that success. So he's able to get in the ears of the players and to start the whispers and to start the rumors and to say, are you really liking your role, Hakim Ziyech, buddy? Because I'm not enjoying my role. Are you enjoying your role? Hey, Christian Pulisic, I'm not really liking my role. Are you liking your role? What do you think of this manager? I'm not really liking this manager. I'm not going to lie. And it just goes round and round and round. Suddenly the gossip starts. You can't have players like that in your squad. Can't have players like that under Pochettino. And this is why personality, you have to analyze the personality before you bring them in. So for me, absolutely critically clear. I don't give a damn what happens with this sale, if it goes through or if it doesn't. He does not go into that first team next year. If he goes into that first team next year, then everybody from ownership down to management, you will probably pay for that. You will probably pay for that mistake. And you know, we can't afford to have another poor season next season. So if that backfires, all of you are catching it. All of you must catch the smoke because that is just a stupid decision. That's just not learning from previous evidence. You know, if you've got evidence in the court, learn from it. It's there. So that's, for me, that's just absolutely clear. If people don't understand that to this day and they still want to play with fire, then and they get burnt, that's their business. I'm not here for it. Let's see. Yeah, Iceman's just acting like a fool again. So I'm just gonna we're just gonna ignore. You know, thing is when you get these, when people start lashing out, right? It's just being silly. He's being an attention seeker right now, guys. Just ignore him. You know, he's going off into his other world again, where he starts, you know, coming up with these incredible conspiracies and these incredible ideas. Just leave him in a corner. Let him just, you know, rattle away. And when he comes back to us, we bring him back. Right now, we just leave him, okay? Because I don't know what he's doing over there. Now, like I said, on the Caicedo deal, we just have to wait, guys. I know people are very impatient. I know people are getting very, very agitated and irritated because they just want this deal done. And I'm with you. I want this deal done. I think once this deal done, everybody gets a lot calmer because we all know that the midfield, we absolutely have to acquire somebody in the midfield. Like, I've seen people say, okay, we can assess Andre Santos in preseason. We can assess Carney. We can, and we will. But we need a midfielder. Like, we absolutely have to purchase a midfielder. We have to purchase a top midfielder. One. I'm not saying we need two, because according also to Fabrizio, we're still looking at Lavia. Again, Lavia, you know, he's had one season in the Premier League, and then obviously he's quite similar age to the rest. Caicedo as well has had only one full season, you could say, but he's played at such a level. And even at the World Cup, if you was watching him, just brilliant player. So he was playing at a higher level than Lavia. But I maintain, I rate Lavia. And I think Lavia, if he was in that Brighton team, I wouldn't be surprised if he gave you similar performances. But I'm not really advocating to sign both, because we do have Andre Santos and we do have Carney, we do have talent that can be developed and can probably be given similar status as these names in a year's time if things go the right way. You know, it only takes 1 year of performances and suddenly you're worth 50, 60 million. That's all it takes. And we may have that already in Andre Santos and Carney, etc. But we do need one just to give ourselves an insurance policy of just in case these players aren't ready, just in case they don't impress on preseason, just in case they're not quite ready to play week in, week out, they can't take the pressure, whatever. We need to have an insurance policy. And Caicedo is that insurance policy because he's already shown that he can do it. But we'll see what the final agreement is. You know, people are talking about the price. We'll see what the final agreement is. We don't know what the final fee is going to be. So I'm not going to speculate too much on it because the last time we spoke about this, there was 2 different packages for Caicedo, right? There was either Brighton want 100 million paid in 4 installments, right? 100 million paid in 4 installments, or 85 million upfront cash, straight cash, no installments. And Chelsea apparently were trying to do the 85 million in installments, maybe in 2 or 3. Brighton want, reportedly, last time I checked, 85 million upfront, full cash. That means on the FFP books, straight in, right? All in right now. Or you can do it in installments with the 100 million. And I think it's 4 installments. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see. People are talking about Cassidy. Sometimes I get an inkling, right? And I've said it on a few videos before. I said it during the season when we were playing Datro Fofana. I just believe he's going to go and get a loan deal. Okay. A lot of people are saying, you know, Datro Fofana and Broja, there's not really much big difference between them. For me personally, just my opinion, I always felt like Datro Fofana was going out on loan. He just looks like a loan player. He looks like a profit player to me. When we purchased him, right? He's on low wages. He didn't cost a lot. So it's very low risk, very high reward. Similar to Angelo, who's coming as well. He's going to have a preseason and he's probably going to go out on loan. It just felt like Datro was always going to go out on loan. He never really got any opportunities. You know, it just felt like a loan. Broja has that Southampton loan in the bag. He has that Premier League experience in the bag. He's a bit, I think he might be a bit older as well. So he was all, and because of the injury, I keep saying it. The reason why Broja was always more likely to stay than Datro Fofana is because of the big injury. When a player gets a massive injury, it's very rare that you take that player that had a massive injury and loan them out to a different medical team, to a different manager who doesn't potentially understand the factors and the circumstances, and allow them to run riot potentially with that you know, injury and just do anything. And next thing you know, they could have a recurring problem. So you tend to keep those players a lot closer. And again, Hudson-Odoi is a classic example of that. You know, maybe he needed a loan, but as soon as he got that big injury, he was always going to stay the following season. So Broja's here. And I think Poch wants to see what Broja is about. And then you've obviously got Jackson. And I've spoken on the striker situation before. I don't think the market's great. I do think Vlahovic is the absolute perfect striker for PSG, though. Oh, you know, I was thinking about it yesterday. I've been thinking about it more this morning. Vlahovic is the perfect striker for PSG. Generational striker for PSG. Absolutely, unequivocally perfect. He would suit that system like a glove. And I don't even know what system they're even going to play. But he would be perfect. I plead with PSG. I am pleading, and I'm sure you all agree. I am pleading with PSG, put in that bid for Vlahovic. Please, put that bid in for Vlahovic. He's cheap, he's young, he's got high potential, great ball striking technique, he's physical, he can drop deep, he has link-up play, he's got the aggression, right? He ticks all the boxes. He has the potential to be one of the best strikers of this generation. And I'm saying that live to you guys, right? So PSG, you're going in a different direction now. You got Neymar for chance creation. Mbappe wants to leave. This is an opportunity to put some goals into the team. Messi's gone. He's left-footed. Vlahovic is left-footed. So he replaces Messi instantly, right? Vlahovic being left-footed is replacing Messi instantly with his left foot, cutting inside, giving you a different dynamic. Now you've got somebody that can cut in on that left foot, whip it into the far corner. Again, perfect. Perfect. So for me, got to get done. PSG, be stupid not to make a move on Vlahovic. It's going to give you a different aura, right? What rhymes with Dora? Aura. That's what Vlahovic is, right? He has that aura. He has that presence. So valuation is just crazy right now. Such a low valuation for him. Go for him. Low risk, high reward. So Vlahovic has to go to PSG. Once that gets done, then other things may happen that have some sort of relation to me that will make me very happy. But, you know, I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to go back into that. Just saying. Maybe linked. Potentially maybe linked. So Vlahovic, perfect for PSG. I just want to get that out there. Absolutely perfect. And I think Leonardo and anyone at PSG right now, you need to be moving quite quickly. The Serbian Messi, people are calling him. Selling a Toyota to a billionaire. Shameless. Some experience, yes. Some experience. Minor experience. I'm just thinking logically. You know, I'm just thinking logically. And you know, you might not see the Harry Kane traits in him now, but a lot of people are saying on the TL, with development, with guidance, with love, with nutrients, with food, with clothes, with warm housing, you know, with Parc des Princes, with Jordans, with new kit launches, with Mbappe by his side for one more season, the development can skyrocket and he can become something special. And I completely agree. So I'd like to see it happen. Now, also, so this is the triangle. Now, we did have a former triangle. I'm going to talk about this, right? We had a striker triangle. If you guys remember it, it was Aubameyang, Batshuayi, and Olivier Giroud. Olivier Giroud moved from Arsenal to Chelsea. Batshuayi went from Chelsea to Dortmund on loan, and Aubameyang went from Dortmund to Arsenal, right? And, you know, people thought we got the wrong end of the stick there, but we actually ended up doing pretty well with that triangle. This is not quite a triangle. It's almost. You got Vlahovic to PSG. You got Lukaku to Juventus. Leaving Chelsea, and at PSG, obviously, we'd love to have Mbappe. So that would be the triangle. Ideally, absolutely would love to have Mbappe at Chelsea. That triangle would be fantastic because at least now we're getting one ego out, one ego in, because we just love chaos, right? But at least the quality is coming in. But in all seriousness, Ivan Toney is what people are talking about. People are talking about Ivan Toney. Now, Ivan Toney is an interesting case. Let's be honest, literally. I'm a big fan of Ivan Toney, and out of all the strikers out there on the market, and he's not really on the market because he's kind of banned, but out of all the strikers out there that are realistic, he is one of the ones that are quite high up on my list. Obviously, Harry Kane is the dream. It's not going to happen. As I've just said, Mbappe, not going to happen. So we don't really have great options. And I've said it already. I don't think this striker market's great. You know, Lautaro, that's off. And I think it's, you know, a lot of people are quite shocked, and they should be, because I'm quite surprised as well. Vlahovic off the list, Lautaro Martinez off the list. So if Chelsea are going to look at a striker, it's probably going to be a name that maybe comes out of nowhere, like the Jackson one. You know, Muani at Frankfurt, he has not been taken off the list. That was my favorite out of the three when I did that video of Vlahovic, you know, Martinez and Muani. I just think Muani as a footballer is something that I can hang a bit of hope on a little bit more in terms of technically what he is as a player. Because at the moment, when I look at strikers, I'm looking at footballers. I'm looking at the technical ability. I'm going back to that. You know, I watched Aguero. I watched Suarez. You know, I watched Wayne Rooney. I watched Drogba. I watched technical strikers. And Lukaku kind of took me away from that. You know, took me into a back and I'm better, you know, back and I'm business. More than you can believe, you know, lack of technical ability, heavy touch, but, you know, love the club. That he took me over there, and I'm back now. Okay, I'm back, and I want technical ability. Now, I'm not saying that we should go and get Muani. I'm just saying out of the options, he's my preference. But I'm still wary because obviously the price tag is very, very high. Like I said, the preference is really to just keep what we have and go again for a different market. Now, if Ivan Toney is available in January, my concerns would be, yes, I know he's allowed to train from September, but training when you don't have matches coming up to the same intensity as players that train for matches is very, very difficult to match their intensity. Unless you have to have some kind of thing to look forward to. It's like Christmas when you're younger or birthdays. If you have something to look forward to, you're more likely to, you know, if you have a goal, if you train and you have a goal, you have a target, it's a lot easier. Now, is a target of coming back into the Brentford team enough motivation? I don't know, because I think he walks into that Brentford team, right? He was their top goal scorer last year. They did a whole goodbye to him at the stadium, Thomas Frank. spoke to the crowd, addressed the whole stadium for him. So I think that as a motivation is not really high enough, especially when he cussed them out on holiday, right? He cussed out Brentford on holiday. So I just don't think getting back into the Brentford team is enough to keep his intensity training wise at the highest. Now, if he somehow manages to just hit the heights of his training and match players that are playing games, then fair play. That's pretty impressive. But naturally, human instincts would be to just drop off a little bit. Not saying he's going to be, moving like Eden Hazard, taking burgers and whatnot. But I'm just saying a little drop off, which would mean if we were to go for him in January, he probably wouldn't be really match sharp, match fit. He hasn't played any matches because he's literally banned from playing matches. So to not play matches for 6 months plus, no preseason this summer, you're going to be rusty. You're not going to be match sharp. You're definitely not going to be ready to start games for us in January. So that's a little bit of a worry, right? Because if we're bringing someone in January, it's for impact. We're not bringing them in to give them a preseason and then they may come and join us in terms of playing matches in, I don't know, March. We're looking to give somebody instant impact there. So it's a little bit of a concern, but let's see. Let's see. Some players are just comfortable being the big fish in the small pond. Maybe so. Also, the price tag, what would he cost? That's a question as well. I don't know what, by the way, has anybody seen Brentford? Have they even made a move for a striker in this window? Because the first thing I thought when I saw Ivan Toney was, banned for this length of time, I thought to myself, Brentford are going to need to make a move in the market. They're going to need to buy a striker this summer to go and partner, their other striker. Otherwise, and to be fair, once Toney did get banned, he did step up. But even still, it's probably best that you go and sign another striker. So I don't know if they've actually haven't been looking at their transfer business. Take a look. They've signed Nathan Collins from Wolves for 26 million. Centre back. They signed a right winger as well from Freiburg, and they've signed a goalkeeper as well from Freiburg. So they haven't signed a striker from what I can see. Attacking midfielders come from the B team, so there's a centre midfielder from the B team as well. So no striker through the door so far for Brentford, it would seem at the moment. So we'll keep an eye on that, because if they do sign a striker, it's probably a lot easier to negotiate with them as well. So keep an eye on that. A lot of people saying Toney would bang. I think, in terms of being a well-rounded, he's like a B-Tech Harry Kane. He's good finisher, good hold-up play, good passing range, I think. Some people disagree. Haven't crunched the numbers completely, but from what I've watched, he looks like a good passer. And to be honest, again, that's the kind of player that doesn't scream massively crazy high expectations, more, lower risk, high reward kind of sign. And again, depending on obviously on his cost, but if his cost is below the 50 million down kind of range, which I'm hoping it would be after what happened, that his market value would have dropped off a little bit, then again, it's not all eyes on him, Haarland comparisons like Nunes, because that's all the price tag does, is it just brings comparison. Price tags, and this is why Mudryk is looked at so differently to Madueke. You put a price tag on a player, that comes with a certain level of expectation. You go in that 30 to 40 million range, you're pretty good. You're eating. People are not really keeping tabs on him as much. The pressure isn't as high. You start going above that 60, 70, 80 million range, and everybody's eyes are on the media. They're starting to draw comparisons. They're getting stats from last season, comparing it with stats this season for other players. And you only have to look at Declan Rice. The first thing that happened when Declan Rice signed for Arsenal was that he got compared with Enzo Fernandez because of the price tag. And now all these different media outlets, ESPN, Sky, they're all getting Enzo Fernandez pictures, Declan Rice pictures, statistics, and comparisons and pressure. So for me, in that striker position, it's not currently what I'm looking at the moment as something that I want to see. And his contract as well. His contract expires in 2025, I believe. 35 million euros transfer market, 2 years left valuation. Let me just confirm that as well. Listen, that's a great price. I'd assume he'd go for more than that, just purely because obviously we're Premier League rivals with Brentford, and you know we play in the same league as them. There's going to be some English tax, but that is a really good price. I don't expect him to sign a new deal, so that's another thing. His contract does, you know, run out in 2025. So we're talking about this time next year. Ivan Toney contract 2024 to 2025. Now 1 year left on his contract. Brentford will be looking to sell. If they are not getting a new contract, then they'll be looking to sell. I'd assume that he will be looking to leave. I don't know whether or not the FA are going to, you know, allow him to be involved in the Euros. I'd assume they should, because he's already serving his ban. So that means come the Euros 2024, he should be more than able to play for England and fight for that place alongside Callum Wilson, alongside Harry Kane, etc. But he'll have 1 year left on his contract next summer. So you'd assume, potentially if you're Brentford, if you want to maximize your profits, maybe doing a pre-agreement in January would be the better option as opposed to a 1 year left. It all depends how you look at it, right? In January, he would not have played for a while, so his valuation maybe is not as high, but he has more time left on his contract. Next summer, he would have played back end of the season, maybe got some goals. That will bring his valuation up, but then the length of contract left is only 1 year, not 18 months. So the valuation comes back down. So Brentford are in a really weird middle ground position where January, summer, the valuations are not clear, but there's reasons why it could be higher or lower at both ends. And it all depends on obviously Chelsea and whether or not they trust to bring in someone on a January move that hasn't played in ages as well, and just kind of bank on what we saw last season. But yeah, that would be, you know, if everything goes according to plan and all runs smoothly, and he has, you know, kind of sorted his addiction to gambling, which is also important. You know, we can't be having a situation where he's gambling again in a year or 2 years' time at Chelsea. It's going to get a massive magnifying glass on it. He's going to be banned again, and then we're going to have more problems. So obviously that has to be completely dealt with. But if not, then we move. Now, why is he on the thumbnail? Someone asked me. Well, Winstanley wants Ivan Toney. Okay, one person on the board wants Ivan Toney. That's already been confirmed. He's trying to potentially convince the other board members that we should move for him. Now, obviously, the fact that we have quite a big board of recruitment means everybody's going to disagree. They're going to have their own targets, their own ideas, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because it means that everybody has to kind of bring their evidence to the table. And it means that we don't just go in this one tunnel vision mind of thinking and nobody challenges or opposes your opinion in the board. If everybody's coming from different angles, you know, I know Christopher Vell's not really as involved because he's more focused on the global kind of structuring of the club in terms of the multi-club model. But you have Lawrence Stewart from Monaco, you have Paul Winstanley, you have Joe Shields, all of them coming from different clubs and different recruitment strategies at previous clubs, and different, you know, they're looking at different pools. So Lawrence Stewart will know the French market very well. You know, Winstanley, obviously at Brighton, their own recruitment policy, and they've been very good at that. Joe Shields, Southampton, Man City, again, two very good places for recruitment, especially Man City, of course, having been under that umbrella of, you know, Tiki, Pep and everybody. So everybody's going to have their own ideas, and it just means that everybody's got to bring their evidence to the table and convince the other people this is the direction we should go in. People are going crazy in the chat about Toney. They're saying he's not all that. There's not really any obsession. I mean, there's not really. Tell me if we're not going for Toney and we're going for someone else, which I have no problem. Please let me know who. In the chat, let me know who you would like us to go for in the striker position, say next summer. Hypothetically, Jackson and Broja show us this season, maybe they're not ready. Who is the striker next summer or next year, 2024, January or summer, that you want Chelsea to be looking at? Let me know in the comments, because it seems a lot of people are not keen on Ivan Toney. So let's see what names get thrown in there. This is your karma for selling Mount and Havertz for 60 plus. Mad. Let's see. Drop some likes. Big up, 100%. What if we let Broja play this season to evolve or his confidence and then use him in Tony negotiating. I mean, listen, we could do many things, right? It depends on the seasons that Broja and Jackson has. You know, if they absolutely smash it, if say as a pairing, they absolutely smash it, right? And they form a chemistry, because remember, we're going to be playing a 2-striker system. So let's get into that. You have Nkuku, who's going to play as your deeper striker, right? Your second striker, most likely, as your 10. But, you know, Poch, Ali obviously became a second striker, made those off-the-ball runs, made those runs beyond Harry Kane, and got himself into the box a lot, scored a few goals, notably some headers at Stamford Bridge. Nkuku's going to play deeper, right? Now, can he, you know, operate as a third midfielder? It's going to be interesting to see. Let's see what happens in pre-season. He's got some interesting attributes, but he's going to be a second striker at the moment is where I'm seeing it, /10. Jackson, according to, you know, a lot of people, he can operate out wide. So he maybe will have the potential to be a second striker. Maybe. Broja is definitely going to be a striker. He's not going to be a second striker. He's going to be a striker. So maybe at times you may see at times this season Jackson and Broja playing together. If we need a goal, last 10 minutes, 15 minutes, we need a goal. You may see a situation where Jackson's already on the pitch, Broja comes on, they play together as a front two, and we have 2 strikers in the box. If they form some sort of chemistry, some sort of you know, some sort of understanding, and their total goals combined is strong, then we may stick with them. We may continue to develop and work with them. You know, if they show that they've got something, we may not move next summer. If they come into the season and they smash it as a pairing and they show good cup play between the two of them, and they're 2 young, hungry strikers battling for places, ultimate professionalism, no, you know, behind the scenes nonsense, nobody, you know, kind of kicking up a fuss. And you've also got Nkuku bringing goals to the table as well. No, and Broja fully recovers from his long-term injury. There's no reason to say as to why those 2 cannot kick on and handle business. You know, it's not a guarantee that we 100% go and get a big name. It's not a guarantee that that big name works out. So if these guys smash it and they actually exceed expectations and people are surprised by them, then I think the only logical thing is to actually continue to use them, not to use them as a bargaining tool for someone that hasn't proven it at our club. That's how I would see it. You know, if you're gonna give them the opportunity to prove themselves, you have to keep an open mind that they actually might prove you. They might actually prove you wrong, where they'll over, you know, perform, and then you've won. So let's see. But yeah, a lot of people talk about Moani. Let's see. Jackson will surprise many. I want serious shouts, please. Try Jackson and Broja with Nkuku up front in case these 2 don't deliver, and wait for Tony in January. Would rather sign Balogun. Balogun looks like he could be moving to Inter Milan. At least they have him on the list. Kane on a free. If he doesn't end up at Bayern, drink Spurs tears, but I would like Osherman. If I was to pick any striker right now, Kane is right up there at the top of the list. He shits on everybody else, right? Every other striker for me, if I could pick any striker, obviously Hairline is not an option. If I could pick any striker, Mbappe is not an option. I take Kane, right? I take Kane as the top striker. If you could get Kane on a free next year and give him a massive signing on fee, love it. There's no other striker out there, not Moani, not anyone, because I'm in the business of winning as well. I like the project. I like, you know, the signing players before they blow, and, you know, making sure that we're setting ourselves up for a long-term, stable, you know, winning, hopefully, methodology. But when a player like Harry Kane becomes available, that is an opportunity to skip steps in terms of you're able to fast track your team to the top. And Harry Kane, bona fide world-class striker, helps from a creativity standpoint, helps from a goal-scoring standpoint. You need him to drop deep, you know, play those Enzo Fernandez type passes in behind. He can do that if Enzo was to get injured. You want him to get into the box because you've got Enzo Fernandez in the team and he's not injured, and he's playing, you know, his brilliant best, and you need someone to put the ball in the back of the net. Harry Kane goes and puts the ball in the back of the net. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen because, you know, apparently he wouldn't, you know, kind of go against Tottenham and their fans and, you know, break that and bend that relationship. But like I said, even though there's only 1% chance, 99% faith, we will be there. I want us to be there. I want us to be there just as an option. Just something that he has to consider, you know, because we've seen traitorous moves before. We've seen people do crazy moves before. Luis Figo played for Real Madrid, you know, played for Barcelona. Ronaldo played for Real Madrid, played for Barcelona. Ibrahimovic has played for both the Milan clubs, Juventus. Adebayor played for Tottenham, for Arsenal, for City. You know, Sol Campbell, Ashley Cole. I don't think Harry Kane's got it in him. I'm not going to lie. I don't think he's got it in him. But just in case he does, just in case he has a midlife crisis or something and decides, you know what, I don't give a shit. I'm just going to move mad. I want to be there. I want to be there. We will be there. Hopefully, we must be there. You know, if Harry Kane's contract expires and all of these offers land at his table, I want one of the offers to say Chelsea, just so he has to look at it. It's not to say he's going to take it. You know, maybe Man United will be there. Maybe many clubs will be there. But I want us to be there. Just on the table. There you go, Chelsea, right there. Just have a think about it. Just have a think about it. That's what the Barclays deserves. It's true. Rock Nation terminating Rom's contract. So I don't know if this is confirmed. This is another thing that people have been talking about, agencies and whatnot. At the moment, currently, to get this deal done, everybody is all hands on deck to get Lukaku to Juventus. Now, the reason why I'm not getting too excited about it as of yet, because it doesn't depend on Lukaku. It doesn't depend on Rock Nation. It doesn't depend on Todd Boehly. It doesn't depend on Egbali or Win Stanley or anybody for that matter. It depends on PSG. At the moment, as the way I see it, we need PSG to make a move on Vlahovic. That is the only way Juventus are actually going to make that offer real for Lukaku. So Rock Nation, whether they're there or not, whether they're negotiating, helping, not lawyers there or not, it's just people at the end of the day. It's just people. They can't control the Vlahovic situation. Vlahovic is not their agent, not their client. They don't run PSG. Until PSG take Vlahovic out of Juventus, this move is at a standstill unless somebody else comes in. Now, Man United could come in for Vlahovic, like I said before. Hopefully, maybe they do. You know, but until somebody else comes in for Vlahovic, we're at a standstill, people, unfortunately. But yeah, you're saying as in Rock Nation are firing Lukaku from them. I mean, you know, it only further proves the point. Roman Abramovich has told you to get the hell out. Iceman, he's not impressed. But yeah, listen, it just goes to further show that, you know, this guy is a little bit of a loose cannon. Simple as that. It's a little bit of a loose cannon, and he doesn't really seem to know what he's doing or where he's going. It's a bit of a strange situation, especially when you look at it from a footballing objective standpoint. You're absolutely desperate to leave Chelsea. Inter Milan is a far simpler deal to do now because they've put the offer on the table that matches Juve, just a slightly lower base fee. But also Inter Milan are in the Champions League. They did qualify last year for the Champions League. I think they finished fourth. They finished third. Juventus finished seventh. So I really don't understand the logic here. I don't understand the logic. Inter Milan finished third. Inter Milan made it to the Champions League final. You played. You have already an existing love and relationship with them. Juventus finished seventh. Obviously, they had points deducted, but they finished seventh. They're playing, I think, not even in the Europa League next season. I think the Conference League. Is it seventh place against the Conference League? Or do they get nothing? Let me see here. What do seventh get in Serie A? Let's see. It must be Conference League, right? Let's see. Both teams will finish inside the top six, meaning the one Europa Conference League spot will go to the side that ends the campaign seventh rather than sixth. Yes. So Europa League is sixth and fifth. Conference League is seventh. So, and they enter the final playoff stage. So Juventus will be in the Conference League final playoff stage. Oh, there's no Europe for them. Oh, Lord, they've been banned. Oh, my apologies. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. They've been banned. Well, then, there's no need to calculate. They are banned. Is that due to the points deduction and everything? Did UEFA jump in there with Syria and double tag team them then? Juve as his best friend Pogba. That cannot be the reason as to why to move to Juventus, because he's got another best friend in Lautaro Martinez at Inter Milan. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. Okay, so if they've been banned, then that's even more of a reason not to go to them. So yeah, so they'll be replaced by Florentina, who finished in 8th, I'm guessing. Obviously, they lost the Europa League final to West Ham. Point being, don't understand the logic. Don't understand the logic. Maybe one day he'll explain it to us. But as of right now, I'm not understanding the logic. You're moving to the lower place team, unless it's about money. And if it's about money, then then there it is. Fair enough. But I don't understand what other reason it can be. Because in terms of objectively, Juventus are behind Inter Milan, European wise and league wise, and yeah, you don't have any ties to Juventus, so I don't understand that one. So we'll see what the reasoning is at some point. I'm sure he'll do another interview, but as of right now, I'm not really understanding that. I have seen that Rock Nation, yes, collecting club badges for his collection. Let's see. I think Pochettino finally understands now the severity of the situation, and a lot of people are asking me, you're a massive fan of Poch, which means if Poch was to take Lukaku back, would you get on board with it? And the answer was absolutely fucking not. Absolutely not. Why on earth would I set myself up for foolishness? If Poch is unaware, if he was unaware, he's now fully aware. But just because you're backing someone, or say you're friends with someone, it doesn't mean that you agree with everything that they do. If you have a friend and they decide that they're going to go and rob a shop, just because you back them in most aspects and you want what's best for them and you want them to do well, it doesn't mean that you agree with everything they do. If he's still going to go and rob a shop, I'm going to tell him, no, don't do that. That's a bad thing to do. You're going to see consequences. And the same applies to anything else, same here in football. If I don't agree with a manager, I'm going to just say it. It doesn't matter if I want that manager in the job or not. Same with Tuchel. Tuchel wanted to play Gallagher in a 2, in a double pivot. I like Tuchel. I used to, fly the flag for Tuchel. But I massively disagreed with that because that was some foolishness. So yeah, no, it doesn't really matter whether or not I want the manager or not. If they're doing something I disagree with, I'm gonna give my opinion. And especially in a situation that I've been seeing, literally directly impacted by as Chelsea fans. We've seen from start to finish this saga. I'm not going to be taking an outsider's opinion on the saga more than us. We are here. We are here all day, every day, seeing this shit. So yeah, for me, no. It's good to educate those people that are coming in from the outside that don't understand the context and what's really happened. Let them know and guide them, not agree with them and follow them into foolishness. That's what you do. If you have information and you have evidence and you have a strong opinion on something that they are not privy to and they have not seen for themselves and they have not been aware of, you tell them you don't agree with their foolishness. Fake positivity is worse than having an agenda. I agree. Your opinion on our recruitment strategy? I think right now, obviously, I have a preference. To get deals done as soon as possible, as everybody does, because we want to have a team ready for preseason. Until the window actually closes, it's difficult to judge the transfer window because the window is not closed. Something could happen, like Caicedo could sign tomorrow and everybody's mind will change on the window, So it's better to just wait to see how we conduct ourselves, what we get done, what we don't get done. And at the end of the transfer window, then you do a transfer window summary / review, and then you judge the recruitment and the way it's gone, and if we've wasted time, if we've got things done, if we've made mistakes, etc. But you can't really do that midway through a window because there's still things to transpire. There's still things going on. But for me personally, like I said, I would love to get the Caicedo deal done now. I feel like for me personally, Monday, as we fly out, would have been a good time to have him in the shirt, ready to go. That would have been the first milestone in the Caicedo deal. Now, what's going to be the second milestone? I mean, we play Brighton on Saturday. Preferably, I'd like us to not be playing against Caicedo. So that's the new target. The first target, the first milestone was try and get Caicedo in before we fly out. Now, we're going to be in the same vicinity as him on Saturday. He can take his Brighton training gear off and put the Chelsea training gear on, change dressing room, and be with us like that. The next milestone for me is to have the Caicedo deal done before we play Brighton next Saturday. I don't want us to be lining up against Caicedo. If we're going to sign him, he needs to be playing in our team, not in theirs. So that should be the next aim. Let's see if that happens. Let's see if that gets done. You know, it's been a pivotal week for the last 3 weeks. But as long as it gets done, that's all that matters. But, you know, time in a certain time frame would be great. So let's see if that can get done before next Saturday. It's not going to get done before we catch flights. Let's see what else is being said. Any questions you guys have? Any topic that I've not spoken on that you want me to kind of go into detail on or give my opinion on, throw the questions in the chat now. I'm looking out on questions. We've covered Lukaku's situation. We know the fees. We know his own, you know, kind of way of operating. I don't know if he's angry with his lawyers or what. You know, I don't think he is, because that would have been a couple of years ago, those quotes about him never wanting to go to Juventus because of Inter Milan and Conte. Obviously, he went to Man United when he was meant to sign for us under Conte as well. So there's always been this kind of weird relationship, it seems, between Lukaku and his agents. You know, when they were trying to get a deal done for Chelsea way back when Conte was here, there seemed to be a bit of a messy situation, a bit of a disagreement. And then next thing you know, he's a Man United player, and he's saying they're the best and the biggest club in the world, and you know, all that kind of stuff, whatever you're doing, your PR. So Lukaku's transfers have always been a little bit messy. It seems not really the cleanest of transfers. You know, we know that he didn't really want to leave Inter Milan, but financially they had to let him go because they were struggling. Conte left, and then he also decided he would leave as well. And financially they needed to take the money. Then he came to us. Obviously, loads of PR again. Best club. Can't wait to be here. Back and on better. But if Inter Milan didn't have those financial struggles, would he have come back to Chelsea, or would he have stayed at Inter Milan? Conte, if Conte had stayed at Inter Milan, would he have then left Conte to come to Chelsea? I don't think so. So his transfers are very messy, very, very messy, and a little bit all over the place. Opinion on AFTV's Rice video. I mean, do you know what? For someone that works in this field, I'm also looking at production. The production was A1. If you are a producer, director, cameraman, editor, the production was A1. It looked like a proper, you know, Adidas Arsenal level announcement video. Unbelievable. And now I know the type of work and the level of work that it takes to get that. You know, I've been on those shoots before when we did the Expressions Best of Enemies intro, and I was wearing the suit with the shoes. That was a long shoot, you know, a longer shoot than you'd think. But so I understand the production. The production was insane. Now, in terms of the dance, and the dancing was actually all right, but I wouldn't want my player to be introduced with the dancing too much. I'm not gonna lie. But when it comes to the rapping, I saw Cecil rapping, and I know what he wanted. But I think due to copyright, they couldn't have what they wanted. And I saw Cecil posted, he posted the dancing with the rapping, that of the original kind of Rice Baby song. And when you actually see it with the original, it's actually slick. I'm not gonna lie, it's actually quite a nice put together. You can see it. Whether or not you wanted the dancing in there or not, but listen, you know, it's all a bit of fun. You know, you've seen all the announcement videos, they're bants. And I was involved in, I think, the Kivio one. That was hilarious. But with the original soundtrack, it's crystal. But because obviously he had to actually rap it, that's where now people are like, oh, shit, what's going on here? But when I next see him, I'll chat to him about it. I think for copyright reasons, they probably couldn't go with the original. But listen, I'm a person that loves creativity. I've done plenty of things that will go down as cringe. you know, but I don't really care because I would rather try and deliver something that you haven't seen before, that's pushing the boat out, that's entertaining. If it gets clipped and it becomes a meme, then listen, it gets clipped and it becomes a meme, you move on. But I would rather strive for creativity, which is I know what Cecil does, than do something that's predictable and do something that everybody is expecting. It just depends on what type of creator you are. You're either afraid of the backlash, afraid of the clips, afraid of the memes, afraid of pushing the boat out, and you want to stick to, you know, your thing, which is fair enough. But then you've got people that they're creative and sometimes they get it right, and sometimes they get it wrong. But to be honest, I would rather move in that direction and be very unpredictable than be in a very, you know, kind of safe box. So for me, I like it. I like to see it. It's definitely a little bit cringe, 100%. But you win some, you lose some. And you know, if you don't push the envelope, you're never gonna get those bangers. You know, you talk about some of the bangers that you get in terms of announcement videos or videos that just stick in your mind. Somebody had to borderline think of something cringe to get there, you know, and you had to, you know, you had to push the envelope out to get to that point. It's not just going to come. Not every single one's going to hit like that. You know, sometimes it's going to be like that one wasn't for me. But you know, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. I like to see the envelope pushed out. That's what I like to see. It's much better than just getting a standard announcement video. I'm not sure on this player. Is this the player that plays for Porto that scored the overhead? Yes, I think he scored an overhead kick against us in the Champions League, didn't he? I think I remember. I haven't watched him much. I haven't watched him really at all, unless he plays against us. I don't really watch him, so I'm not really sure whether or not he should be the stopgap. I know he's from Israel. I think is he Israeli striker? Because I've heard a lot about him through a friend, but I haven't been watching him too much. And I heard his hit rate is pretty decent. You know, puts up some decent numbers, but I've not really watched him, so I can't really comment on whether or not he should be the option. I think Chalobah is roughly similar quality to Fofana. I think Fofana's fee blinds us. I don't think Trev should be sold. What's your opinion on the centre back situation? So when it comes down to the centre backs, here's what I think. You see with Fofana, when I saw Fofana's performances in his first Leicester season, I thought this guy has absolutely smashed it. Like he was borderline team of the year. And I think a lot of people forget that. Fofana's first year coming over into that Leicester team in that centre back position, his first season was borderline team of the year. It was a proper season from him. If you remember his FA Cup final performance against Chelsea where we lost, and it was the Tielemans long shot, again, one of the best performers on the pitch on that day was Fofana. If you watch his performance that day, borderline man in the match. Fantastic performance. For a young centre-back, he was, you know, showing that he was going to be something quite special. Now, he did pick up a massive injury, and we know that takes a while for players to get back from injuries and especially massive ones. So has he shown us that level yet at Chelsea? No. Have I seen little glimpses? Yes, little glimpses, but we need consistent fitness from him. We need him to get back to that height and back to that level. And then I don't think he's on Chalobah's level. If he gets back to the level he was showing in his first season at Leicester, I think he's a tier or two above Chalobah, if not 2 tiers. I genuinely think, you know, he's a better defender than Chalobah if he gets back to his best. If he doesn't, then maybe there isn't as much to split the two. But for me, I think Fofana will be and should be the better defender out of the two if he gets back to the levels we saw in the Leicester first season, which is what we are kind of paying for. Why not take the 80 to 100 million and go for Tchouaméni if Caicedo is taking so long? Better player, in my opinion. I would love to get Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni would actually be my choice above Caicedo because I'm a big fan of Tchouaméni. And he's cheaper. If he's 80 million euros to 100 million euros, he will work out cheaper. However, is he actually available? It remains to be seen because, you know, we think he's available if Real Madrid are going for Mbappe, but Real Madrid have not made any official move for Mbappe. And it actually makes a lot of sense for Real Madrid to just leave the Mbappe situation until next summer and get him on a free. Because, you know, yes, they're going to have to pay a massive sign-on fee, but if they sign him now, they're going to have to pay a massive transfer fee and a massive sign-on fee. You know, Mbappe is not going to take a rubbish sign-on fee. Mbappe's mum is not going to take a rubbish signing on fee. The signing on fee for Mbappe is going to be the signing on fee for Mbappe. It's going to be huge, astronomical, right? Probably one of the biggest signing on fees you've ever seen. Up there with the Neymar to PSG transfer, 222 million, all these things. So you're better off potentially waiting to next summer. So you only have to pay Mbappe and his mum the money, as opposed to paying the transfer fee. And that's most likely what Real Madrid are thinking. They also, and this hasn't really been spoken of, but what I think Real Madrid might be also thinking is, we don't need Mbappe from August to January, right? They may say we can trust our team to put up performance in La Liga against most sides, apart from maybe Barca, Atletico when it gets sticky. Also put up performance in Champions League group stage and the early rounds of Copa del Rey. Then they may take a look at the Mbappe situation in January, where PSG are on their knees. Yeah? If you think PSG are on their knees now, PSG are on their knees in January to sell Mbappe. And I don't know what kind of fee they'll be looking for, but they have 1 month to then negotiate with Perez and Real Madrid. And if they do not come with a very, calm asking price, Real Madrid can play crazy games. So, PSG at that point, they'd be lucky to get 50 million. They'd be lucky to get 50, 60, 70 million. They'd be lucky because his contract literally expires in 6 months. And Real Madrid can decide whether or not they want to take that risk, not even risk, but if they want to take that financial hit and buy him to go the distance in the Champions League, to go the distance in La Liga, to go the distance in the Copa del Rey, to try and do a treble, right? If they're in all competitions and they think Mbappe is the needle mover and they're done with Joselu up front and they're done with these meaty forwards in the striker position, they want to elevate themselves and go with a devastating front three, then they could choose to take the piss there with PSG in that moment. I don't know what PSG would be looking for a fee at that moment. If 6 months left to go, I don't know, man. 50, 40. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what kind of fee you can even command with 6 months to go. But they'd be in a really bad negotiating position. So I think Real Madrid might just be looking at that and waiting potentially on that. So yeah, let's see what else is being said. Someone else mentioned Barcelona and the fact that they feel like they'll run away with La Liga. Real will get dragged in La Liga. Barca definitely win the league again. That's from Marcus. Listen, we'll have to see. I haven't been really keeping a close eye on Barcelona's transfer business this summer. But Xavi, they won it last year. They've obviously got to improve their European efforts because they got knocked out back-to-back going into the Europa League and didn't even make it past Man United there in the round of 16, I think it was. So, yeah. Or not even the round of 16. I think it was just the playoff, wasn't it? Or the, yeah. So, yeah, big improvements need to be made on their side if they're gonna do something in Europe, from what we've seen. Does it worry you that Turkey isn't targeted by Madrid or PSG? Everyone is gassing him up, but the powerhouse clubs aren't even going for him. No, that doesn't worry me. First of all, I think with PSG, they have had a lot of players that off the ball don't really give you much. In terms of Mbappe, Messi, Neymar. So if they are moving away from that, they may be having a little bit of a question mark around Turkey, potentially. But more importantly, Real Madrid have just signed, that Turkish talent, Turkish wonder kid from Fenerbahce. Don't know how to pronounce his name, don't want to butcher it, but you guys know he's just signed. Left-footed, looks extremely creative. You can only sign so many of these players, right? There's a few of them, and you're going to pick your favorite, and you're going to go and get them. There's not really any need for Real Madrid to sign Turkey. They have Endrick coming in from Brazil. They have Rodrigo. They have Vinicius. They now have this new talent on top of Bellingham, on top of Camavinga, Valverde. So they don't need any more of this type of player in their team. Most likely, they've already hedged their bets. Guller, yes, is it Guller? So yeah, so they don't need to put a fee on Turkey. Now, listen, from what I can see from a technical aspect, and again, if you want to go into statistics, percentiles, FD brief, whatever, this guy he looks special. He does look special. Off the ball, of course, we've already spoken about it. He definitely needs to, not even needs to, but he needs either the team to kind of take the workload off of him in that aspect, or he needs or he needs to fix up in that regard. But he's only 19, so he's definitely got the opportunity to do that. But you know, when you're seeing a player of his age who made his debut at 16, he's in the under-21s of the France team, and you know his percentiles are stupid. You know, for progressive carries, for progressive passes, for take-ons, 99. He's in the top 1 percentile for successful take-ons. So that tells you that he's a very gifted dribbler and ball carrier. And his progressive carries are in the top 2% percentile. His progressive passes are in the top 5 percentile. So it tells you that he's a very technical player. Passing attempts, again, very high up as well. So it's not by fluke. You know, for me, technical players are technical. You know, they're techie players are technical, as Saeed would say. You know, there is no fluke. You're either technical or you're not. You're not technical, and then you are, and then you're not, and then you are. You're either technical or you're not. And but just because you're technical, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a top player. And if these clubs are having reservations, it's not because of his technical ability. It may be down to personality, or it may be down to work ethic. And this is what I spoke about with Lukaku before. It's great to be excited about the talent, but we have to make sure, and our recruitment team have to make sure they do a personality and they do an evaluation on the person, and they find out who he is, what he's about, his upcoming, everything, his upbringing, and they actually do their due diligence, because technical ability is not enough. Ben Arfa had a lot of technical ability, didn't make it to the top. Dimitri Payet, loads of technical ability, didn't make it to the top. Adel Taarabt, loads of technical ability, didn't make it to the top. And we can keep going through names and names and names and names. Ricardo Quaresma, loads of technical ability, didn't make it to the top. So just because you have a lot of technical ability, it doesn't mean that you're going to be one of the best players in the world. Cherki could be a Quaresma, or he could be an Eden Hazard. You just don't know. So maybe that's why the other clubs are not looking at him, or maybe because they've already got themselves sorted. You know, when you look at who he's similar to, they have some of the biggest and best names in world football to compare him to in terms of the talent. But in terms of behind the talent, we don't know. That's why the clubs have to make sure that they absolutely do their due diligence on the person, not just the player. So let's see. His ball control is wild. Yeah. I mean, listen, he looked great in the under-21s, but so do a lot of guys. The thing is that I look at with the under-21s is, are you exceeding? Are you absolutely dragging the under-21 level due to technical ability or due to physicality? Because a lot of the time you see a lot of these players, when they perform at under-21 level, it's sometimes due to the physicality, because they're taller and they're stronger and they're faster. And they, you know, Lukaku is a great example of that. He was an absolute mammoth of a man at like 16. So at Anderlecht, when he was in the younger age groups at Anderlecht, he was absolutely destroying everyone, because he was just too quick, too strong, too fast, you know, too big, just out muscling everyone. Are you going to do that technically? And if you're doing that technically, but not physically, then people, you know, will have question marks. Billy Gilmore, great example. Technically good player, but physically can he do it? People have the question marks. If you have a bit of both, then obviously you're absolutely soaring. So it just depends. You have to just look out for that. But obviously, I would rather the player be technically too good for the younger age groups than physically too good for the younger age groups. Because when you get to the top level, you're not going to physically take over. You know, you can be physically taking over under 21. When you get to the top level, you're not physically taking over anything. So that's where the technical ability comes. If you're technically killing people at under 21s, you could potentially, if you're that good, do it at the senior level as well. If you're a generational talent. And then physically, listen, physically, you always need to have a bit of physique. I think it's not always bicep curls and, you know, shoulder press. And sometimes it's just about being agile, and it's just about having good balance. You know, you take a look at players like Messi, looking at Hazard, you know, Hazard worked on his lower body build quite a lot, you know, his calves. Grealish, make sure they're quite strong in that regard. Good balance though. Just be able to skip out of challenges. Be able to, you know, Hazard used to be brilliant at kind of jumping into people almost. When he was dribbling, if you watch Hazard, he was brilliant at kind of riding challenges. You know, anybody that came in to try and, you know, shoulder to shoulder, he would kind of use them as like a bouncy castle and just bounce off them and keep his. So you just learn these little things, pick up these little things. This is all training. You know, you see all the time, you're seeing people kind of using these, they're kind of like boxing punching bags, and they'll barge into them, right? That will be part of their preseason training. If you're a winger and you believe that that's something that you need to, you know, add to your game is contact, you need to be able to take contact better, then you'll use that as maybe something to barge into, and you'll constantly keep doing that. And that's to act as a pretend human shield, pretend person to kind of, you know, build up that resistance to being able to do that and to being able to bounce off people. So there's loads of different ways to build up strength and build up, you know, build up your ability to sustain challenges and to be able to ride challenges. Doesn't mean that you need to be going to the gym doing bicep curls or doing shoulder press. You know, it just depends. It depends on the player. It also depends on the advice of the coaches. But yeah, I would rather have the technical ability and work on the physical than have the physical and not have the technical. Because I think if you have the physical and you don't have the technical, it's a lot more difficult for you to actually, sometimes it's impossible. Some players just don't have it. You know, Adama Traore being one of them. He's very physical. You ain't getting Cherky level of technical ability out of him in his life. It's not happening. It's impossible. Absolutely impossible. Whereas, not saying you need to get Cherky to Traore physicality, but you really don't need that. You just need to get him to a decent level of physique where he can handle himself, and that's about it. So I'd rather take the technical over the physical. So yeah, let's see what else is being said. We've already gone on that one. Keep getting your questions in. Why not take the, sorry, we already read that one out. Let's see. We've done that one as well. The only reason Real might sell Tchouaméni is that they need to pay for reconstruction on the stadium plus Mbappe, but very unlikely. I'm assuming that they've already sanctioned the stadium costs, and they already understand how much it's going to cost them without selling one of their biggest assets in terms of Tchouaméni, because in terms of profile, he's the only 6 that they actually have. I wouldn't call Toni Kroos a 6. I wouldn't call Modric a 6. I wouldn't call Camavinga a 6. I wouldn't call Valverde a 6 or Bellingham. So they only have one true holding midfielder in Tchouaméni. So I would be surprised if they didn't, you know, plan the costs and the stadium rebuild without having to sell one of their biggest assets. They paid a lot of money for Tchouaméni, not to forget. They paid 100 million euros for Tchouaméni. So I would assume stadium is already sanctioned and sorted. Mbappe, like I said, you know, PSG may want someone to come in for him now. That someone has to be Real Madrid, because that's the only place he's probably going to go. But if Real Madrid don't come in, then he's not going anywhere. And this is why I keep saying PSG have no control or power over the situation. They can keep waffling and saying, oh, you know, we need you to leave now or sign. You can say whatever you need, but what you actually end up getting is a different conversation. It's nothing to do really with what you want. It's what is out there. If Real Madrid don't want to pay right now, Mbappe doesn't really care about leaving right now, then you have to suck it up and learn that, yeah, when you get Mbappe to hold up a shirt saying 2025, it should actually probably mean 2025, because they fucked themselves over. They marketed themselves to say that Mbappe was staying until 2025. I remember everybody has the image, Mbappe holding up the shirt 2025. Everybody go, oh, PSG did a good deal there. They got themselves a little bit more, bought themselves a little bit more time on the contract to sell to Real Madrid later on. Now it comes out 2024 with option of an extra year. And the option lies with Mbappe, not with you. You can't trigger it automatically. Fools, absolute fools. You know what I mean? You want to play that game, then you get, you know, you have to pay the price. So I don't feel sorry for PSG. And like I said, I don't think Real Madrid are just going to just bend over backwards and give them the exit that they're looking for. They might have to just firm that. They may lose the most expensive player in history, because obviously inflation. So if we're talking about inflation, we're talking about who's the most valuable player in world football right now. The 3-time FIFA cover back-to-back, Mbappe, right? The most expensive footballer of all time, potentially moving on a free. That's an L. It's a mad L to take, but, you know, that's your business. That's your problem. So, yeah, listen, we're going to wrap up, guys. Big up your damn selves. Listen, it's been an absolute pleasure as always. Make sure you smash up the likes. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. Nothing moving in terms of breaking news, but a nice little catch-up, nice little convo. I didn't get to speak on Inter Milan actually walking away from the deal yesterday because I was out. But it is really all but confirmed now today. They completely walk away from the deal. And obviously it's now Juventus or bust. So we're still waiting. The team fly out tomorrow. I'll have a video coming out tomorrow on, you know, things five. I say five. I'm going to go top 5 players that I'm looking out for in the preseason that I'm excited to see in the preseason. So preseason content coming up tomorrow onwards. And yeah, at the moment, there's no other updates. I'm just looking at the moment. Onana deal seems to be personal terms coming to a close and all that. Listen, we'll see on Monday morning. I'm sure things will get announced for other clubs and stuff, but we're still waiting on Caicedo. One thing I will say is that Caicedo, when it does get done, I think it will literally people just be done deal. Yeah, here we go immediately. I don't think you're going to get a public bid. I don't think you're going to get a back and forth. If this Caicedo deal happens, it's going to just be like, it's going to have to be a breaking news stream. It's going to be like a Caicedo and Chelsea and Brighton have reached an agreement. Here we go. Paperwork's like immediately, just bang. So there's no time for anyone else to come in. There's no drama. There's no back and forth. I think that's why it's being kept behind the scenes now. You're not getting this public back and forth that you got with Declan Rice and you got with other teams and other bids and other clubs. They're just saying, listen, and that's what I expect. If Chelsea come with some bid and it gets rejected, I'm going to be like, what the hell are you lot doing? When this comes out into the public, it's a here we go, and that's it. Done deal. That's all I'm interested in. So yeah, as long as that happens, then we're all good. I understand then why we're being so secretive. Big up to Turkish in the comments. We see him. Big him up. He's just keeping an eye on things. I see they're still peddling the Mbappe prop over there at AFTV. I don't know what's going on over there, but listen, I'll be in studio again soon. Actually, no, they're going to America themselves. They're all flying out to America themselves. Obviously, preseason starts for Arsenal in the US, Man United in the US, Chelsea in the US. I don't know about the other big clubs as well. So, but yeah, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. All right, until next time, big up your damn selves and a bit, people. Peace.